Hello everyone, New12 here, and welcome to my last episode of Fate Stay Night, as I give my final thoughts on the story in general and the characters in general. I want to be clear that if I'm ever a bit too harsh on the story, it's because I really enjoy it. The better I like something, the more I criticize it. I love the story to pieces, so if I ever start nitpicking very small little things, it's because there's no big flaws I can talk about, so I'll just complain about the very smallest stuff. In hindsight, most of them are extremely small, and you really shouldn't be concerned about it too much, so take everything with a grain of salt. I'm going to praise it a lot, but I might also be a little harsh on it. It's because I love the story. So let's go ahead and start with Shiro and how he's changed in these last episodes. How he goes from being someone who wants to save everyone, who wasn't challenged at all in the Fate route, to wanting to save everyone, but being challenged in the fact that you're going to be hated and how it just leads to more suffering, and how he refuses to just accept that and die. And then to understanding that not everyone can be saved, and not at the cost of, without having someone die, so he decides to just save the one person he loves. I thought it was really well done with how that kind of idea of wanting to save people always stays around, even if he doesn't truly desire that too much. And I say that because his wish and desire is from his accident, and is from incident in which the fire gave him a bunch of PTSD from the fact that he's the sole survivor. His survivor's guilt really spurs him to take on this false wish from Kiritsugu. And him moving on really shows a lot of courage to be able to forget the only thing that's kept him alive and just move forward without that. I think that as a character, and main character especially, Shiro is one of the best when it comes to evolving one's ideology and thought process. Is constantly changing with each route, and how it's very natural, and how he comes to all of his conclusions in all three routes. They're very logical of what he comes to. I may disagree with a couple of them, but it's logical in how he gets to that point. I say logical, I mean in the sense that you can easily understand why Shiro gets there. I'm not saying it's like the smartest choice, but it's the one that Shiro would make if you had to predict one. I like his dynamic with Kire as well, with how much they contrast each other, but at the same time are one and the same. With the final battle, with being just a bare fist fight to the death of whose ideology and who wants it more than the other. Their wishes and desires. Oh, it's perfectly well done. With Kira eventually just not being able to move anymore because he's dead already before he even gets there. He's not going to live. Neither of them were going to live in that sense. If that was during the, not the true ending, but the other ending, then you understand just none of them are going to make it, but they still fight until one is dead, just to prove that theirs is right and going to become reality. And Shiro wins in both cases. That he wants to save Sakura by sacrificing anything he can to save her, and he does. In both rounds, he goes to the point of sacrificing his life. The only difference is Illya saving him in the true ending, and I feel bad for Illya that she had to do that, but it was necessary that she does sacrifice herself for her brother. She is just such an amazing character. I love Illya so much, but I'll talk about her later. With Angra Mainyu as well, we see that he's this boy that was forced into his role and forced to become something that he never wanted to become. In this case, the world's most evil. And in a sense, Shiro's in the same boat. He was forced to become a hero through his circumstances. It's not that he wanted to be a hero. He felt forced that he had to. And I think that's really, really well done. And that, in a way, Anger Mainyo is Shiro. But Shiro understands that to save Sakura, you have to get rid of Anger Mainyo. And that no matter what, even if he didn't want to become the world's evil and all that, to make sure Sakura is safe and healthy and lives, you have to get rid of him, and he understood that, and he didn't hesitate in deciding to want to get rid of Anger Mainyo. And I think that in any other route, Shiro would have, but since he decided to become the superhero for Sakura, he became that hero for her. And I love that in any of these routes, he's going to become a hero, and that that he wants to be a hero at least. But in this Heaven's Feel route, he's more like a hero, even if he says that, he's not a hero in this case. And it's just funny that when he decides not to want to be a hero anymore, he becomes what most people would describe as a hero, someone sacrificing themselves for the people that he loves. And I think that's really well done. And I like Shiro probably the most in this route. Even if I don't agree with some of the decisions he makes, I like Shiro more in this route than the other two routes. I think he really comes together and really just proves himself to be just this ultimate badass for going above and beyond what anyone would say that he needs to for the person he loves. And I would love to see more of this kind of Shiro. Actually, any kind of Shiro, really. I like all of them. Fate Shiro, maybe not as much as the other two, but it's definitely up there. I will say with Sakura, I like her a lot more in this route rather than the other two. I want to start that off by saying that. She's still not my favorite heroine, obviously. Nor my favorite Grail. I mean, Illya is still a favorite Grail. But I will say that Sakura went up a lot in how much I respect her, how much I like her as a character in this route than the other two routes combined. This one route really saved her character in my eyes, because I really am not a fan of just the overly sweet, kind person, younger school classmate girl. I think it's usually not that good. It's usually very poorly written and kind of just self-serving. But she is amazingly written. The way she suffered in her past, to the point where she puts on this kind of front and it has to force to become this kind of character in person just so she doesn't feel pain, I think is just a very well written story and concept. With her desiring Shiro the way she does, and before, I will say, in Heaven's Feel, and how she almost in a way wants to see him fail when she was out in the watching him try to pole vault or do the high jump or whatever jump he was doing, that she was wanting him to fail and so she could just revel in it. I think that just really speaks to how much she went through pain, and yet was amazed that he just kept going even though he wasn't able to do it, because it shows that even no matter against the odds, that if you keep going, that you're going to be self-fulfilled in a way. And I think that really changed her outlook on life in general. And I like how just one little scene can have such an impact on one character. I shouldn't say one because everyone watched him out on that track field, so I should say a lot of characters. I will say that I wish there was more interactions with Shiro and Sakura. I felt there was a lot less of Sakura in this route than the other heroines in their respective routes. I will say that it could have been choices, but I just think that if you really look at it, she just didn't show up a lot. It was like the two times that she's really the most prominent is cooking scenes and sex scenes. And that's just For me, I don't want that. I want real scenes. I want emotional scenes, like Rin and Shiro in the outside, after she lost Archer and stuff, when Archer decided to join Caster. Like those kinds of scenes. I want some real just emotional attachment there to Saber in the dojo. We see constantly that kind of stuff in those interactions between each other. We don't just see that in Heaven's Feel. I just don't think we get enough of Shiro and Sakura together through the main story outside of choices as we do in the other routes. And I think that's a big letdown in my eyes. I think that it could have done it a lot better. I think if they just forced him to, be around her when she's sick. Why wasn't he at the house when she was sick and he was taking care of her? Why didn't he skip school? He skipped school for fucking anything in the other two routes, and this time he's actually a good student, and because he wants to talk to Ren? I would have just preferred he stayed with Sakura a bit more, rather than just leave her by herself and just be like, yeah, she'll probably be fine. Yeah. I would have preferred it. I just want to be clear that there were options to hang out with Sakura, and I will admit that I didn't choose him because I personally just didn't like Sakura too much. I don't like the whole younger classmate kind of stereotypical role and overly sweet girl. It's just not my thing. But I felt in the Fate route, you're just constantly in the dojo with Saber. In Unlimited Blade Works, you're just constantly around Ren. In Heaven's Feel, you weren't constantly around Sakura. It just felt like she had less time in here than the other two routes. Even though it's just what it felt like to me. It felt like she could have had a more prominent role and a bigger role to just them talking together, just being in each other's presence rather than in sex scenes or cooking. I think they could have just built more on that, because Saber and Ren did that in their routes. I don't see a reason why you can't have it that way. I know Illya was introduced more because she got her route cut, so that's why there's more Illya in there. I had no problem with that. You could have still woven in Sakura into some of those scenes as well, not necessarily just Shiro and Illya by themselves. Speaking of Illya, I really, really loved her in this route. She did amazing. I loved her in this route. This is definitely what tied her to be very, very high on my character ranking list. I'd probably say I like her probably at number 2 or number 3, possibly number 4. She's in the top 5 for characters I just absolutely adored. She was just so handled with such care and respect, and amazingly well done, especially the final scene and that true ending, her taking that responsibility of wanting to save someone, saving Shiro himself, even though she has every right to hate Shiro and hate his father. She just ignores that because Shiro's just so much different, and it's just so sweet, their relationship in Heaven's Feel just by itself. It was so well done. And going back to the other ones and looking at him through the other two routes, you get glimpses of it, but in like Fate, she just seems like this absolutely terrible person. Unlimited Blade Works, you get the scene with her holding Berserker's hand, and it starts getting a little heartwarming and not terrible, and you start thinking like, okay, maybe she's not so bad. Maybe she's just, really just upset because of her circumstances, blah, blah, blah. And then Heaven's Feel comes around and just kicks you in the heart, and you just feel terrible for her, and you just want to take care of her. And I do. And I think that's just a testament to how well written she is. That I go from absolutely hating her to absolutely loving her by the end of this story. And wanting her just to be happy and keep smiling for as long as she lives. It's just so funny to me that she just moved up so high. It's crazy. And I just feel bad for her. Ryder got a more prominent role as well. We get to find out that her true master's Sakura, and I think that was really well done, because with the book, it is kind of under wraps that, Shinji's a little different. He has a book, it's not on his hands or arm. So it's like there's a little hint towards it, but not completely. So you get a little bit of a sense that he might not be the master, but at the same time, he just constantly talks about how he's a master, how he treats Ryder terribly, and she just accepts it and doesn't say anything. So you do think that, he could be the master. But it's amazing how Sakura, even though she's put down as much, they force her to become a master in this. It's just really awful that she had to get put through everything and then treated terribly. It's awful. I feel terrible for her. Shinji, still a piece of shit. He still has that inferiority complex, which I assumed he had. So that's not, too surprising for me, at least. Zoken, finally you get to see who's pulling the strings behind that family, and this worm monster that's absolutely destroying people. And understanding that he used to actually be a decent person and want a decent thing, but his desires to live immortally ends up taking over. And it's just really fitting at the very end scene where Illya basically confronts him. And it's really well done with how Zoken just comes to terms with the fact that his desires were just absolutely skewed once he started selling it, breaking his soul apart by putting it in a worm. And it makes him more human in that sense, but at the same time, he's still a piece of shit. He's still abused Sakura for no reason at all, and it's just awful, awful things to her. Shinji as well. Shinji dying. Oh, boo-hoo. I feel so bad for him. I feel like what she was put through, like, it's the least that they can deserve, is dying a miserable death in a cave. Shinji just dying in his bed and end up getting scooped off into the trash somewhere. I just think awful, awful things to do to her. I may not like her. I don't support that. She did go up, and though I do feel like I like her more now, knowing her story and everything, and knowing what she's went through, how she feels. I like her more in the fact that even though the shadow was controlling her, she was fighting at the very end, rather than just, letting it consume her. I like that. The other servants didn't really have much of a role in this story because most of them either got absorbed or destroyed. Assassin, the new one, True Assassin, I shall say. I liked him a bit more than regular Assassin just because he actually gets more time to speak than just the fake Assassin. And I thought he was very interesting that he got paired up with Zoken. It was very fitting in a way. But at the same time, he was different than Zoken. He was better than Zoken, especially in that one end where he didn't want the dude to suffer, Shiro to suffer. I thought that was really telling for him that even though he's still just an assassin, he doesn't just do it out of pleasure to torture or kill someone. He just does it because he has to. I thought that was really well done. He wants to be immortal and everything, but he's not the true Hassan. He's not the true person. He's just some mass dude who doesn't actually have a name, nothing to him, that he's not real. I thought that was really, really, really well done. And not really focused on either. It was just a very brief moment that it was handled well. That's why he wants, what his desires are. Rin, still love her, still my favorite, obviously. So, I don't have to say too much about her. Other than, I do like how she, at the very end, was hugging Sakura and told her how much she meant to her in her own way, and ended up, stabbing herself. And just not being able to kill Sakura. I thought that was very well done. She puts on this cold front, but deep down she always still loves her sister. There's just no way she can. And I thought that was just perfectly done. I thought that was just such a beautiful scene. Where I put Heaven's Veil in total? It's hard because I love Unlimited Blade Works for lots of different reasons. And so it's hard to say, like, it's better than Unlimited Blade Works, but it's also hard for me to say Unlimited Blade Works is better than Heaven's Feel. I feel Heaven's Feel is a bit more complex in how it handles the ideas inside of it. So I'd want to say both of them are basically neck and neck in why I like them, but it's for different reasons why I like them. I like Unlimited Blade Works for when Archer and Shiro face off. I like the idea that even though he knows what's going to happen or what's most likely going to happen, he chooses to persevere and just to say, screw it, I'm going to make this work, and it's going to work because I put my mind to it. I think that was really, really well done. While in Heaven's Feel, I liked how devoted he was to wanting to save one person and not just everyone. I didn't like that whole wish, that fake wish he had, and fake desire that he wanted to save everyone. I personally just thought it was very self-destructive, and it was. It is a self-destructive wish. So in Heaven's Feel, when he decides to do something else, I think that's just perfect for the situation. And for doing it for Sakura, it's very much more believable than if he did it for, say, Rin or Saber. Because as much as I love my Rin, Shiro doesn't know her that much. He doesn't know her for 2 years plus, hasn't been in close contact with her enough to actually determine to say, yeah, I'm going to kill everyone or let everyone else die for you. I love my Rin, but I don't think that would really be in character for Shiro to say that. It's much more in character for Shiro to do that for Sakura, who's been with him for so long, who's taking care of him, who he's taking care of as well, to understand that he just wants to take care of her and continue to keep everything normal and wanting to preserve that idea. So it's much more realistic and natural for him to want to protect Sakura rather than, Rin or Saber, because both of them he didn't know him as well. So it wouldn't make sense that he would go outside of his own true desire and not true wish, the wish he was put on after the incident. And he would only sacrifice that for one person that he's always been around for so many more years, who's been there when he needed her and when she's needed him as well. I thought that was very well handled and very well written, and very believable that he would do that for her rather than the other two people. The music in this chapter was very, very good. As always, I love the music, and all three of them, really. But there's a couple parts where it was just, like the final music against the last hour, like 4 hours of the music in Heaven's Feel, perfect and divine, amazing. Going back to Shiro, I want to just highlight the fact that he's such a broken person, but the way he is fixed in each of these other chapters is very well done. Saber dying and the fate route and him deciding to move forward after seeing Saber kind of puts him on a better path than otherwise. I still think he'd probably become Archer, most likely in that scenario. Probably not exactly, but he's more likely to become Archer in that case. But at the same time, he's reassured that that's what he needs to do. And in Unlimited Blade Works, he has Rin to be there by his side and to support him when everyone else is going to be against him, inevitably. As Archer already told, Archer's story told how everyone just hates him at the end, and he had no one by his side when he died. So having Rin there will help that. Heaven's Feel, he decides to abandon that goal because he knows it's not going to help Sakura in this case, so he needs to get rid of it and protect her from everything. And I thought that was just amazing how he changes all of this, how he just doesn't become, and he's not going to become Archer for sure in Heaven's Feel. In Unlimited Blade Works, he's probably not ever going to be Archer because he has someone to support him. And Fate, he's still probably not going to become Archer because it's still a different growth. And so it's nice answers to all of the different ideas of Shiro and what he's held. And it's resolved in its own way, and I think that's really, really well done. And the bad ends in Heaven's Feel I thought were some of the best, with him deciding to become Kiritsugu, trying to kill Sakura at the very end. Or not the very end, but about halfway through. Getting stopped. Deciding to not kill Saber. Killing Saber, but not projecting it, or projecting too much. It's just like, all those different choices I thought they were a lot harder in this route rather than the other two routes. The first route, I just didn't know Shiro enough to actually make very smart decisions. Unlimited Blade Works, I wanted to protect Ren. I protected Ren as much as I could, that's why I didn't get a lot of those bad ends. Heaven's Feel, I got a decent amount, I probably got about half of them, but they were a lot harder because they were more philosophical in nature. Do you want to save everyone? Do you want to save Sakura? Do you want to kill the person who is always by your side? Or do you not want to kill them? Like, these questions are much better formed and a lot more interesting, I should say, with their implications rather than the other two. I felt they were handled better, written better. And I would say if I had to rank bad ends, which ones I felt were better, I would definitely put Heaven's Feel number 1. I thought they had the best bad ends and not worst bad ends. And then I'd put probably Fate, because there is a couple of those that were just amazingly done. With like the first one with Illya, and taking Shiro away. It's just like, it's just really visceral, and it just sets her up in a very terrible way, but at the same time, it creates that idea that you see her as this terrible figure, but really she's not that bad. She's just really lonely and wants someone around her, and she loves her brother, and she does it because there's a lot of different reasons. Her rage against Kiritsugu for leaving her alone and abandoning her, and her entire loneliness is just heartbreaking to see. Especially with that CG with her and Berserker in the woods. That was just heartbreaking to see. I would say that actually, when Illya says like, favorite CGs, I think of a couple. I think of that one. I also think of the one where Ren becomes bonded with Saber. And that one was a really well done one. Saber slashing Gilgamesh is another CG. Or him holding her by an ankle. That was a very well done CG as well. And Shiro having the swords come out of him. I would say that's my favorite from Heaven's Feel. The artwork on that's just amazing. And it just shows how he's being consumed by the blades and everything he's going to save Sakura. I thought that one was amazing. I would say that's probably top 3. It's amazing. The Illya CG at the end as well, her turning and smiling. Both of those, just two of the best CGs, just bang right after each other. It's just, it's amazing. I love it. So those would probably be my favorite CGs. I definitely need to see the other stuff, like the animes and stuff, and probably reread this stuff again, get an even better idea on the characters and how they interact with the story. Saber, I wish she had a little bit more, but at the same time she needed to be taken away to fully transition Shiro to being, again, for Sakura and stuff, and not having Saber to just rely on. It just shows that he has to go through it his own strength without having a crutch to just rely on. I think that was, as painful as it is, it's very needed for this kind of story to be told. He can't have just the best and strongest servant around with him and trying to sacrifice everything. He can just have Saber just cut through everyone. But by having her taken from him, makes his sacrifices and decisions all the more heavy, because he can't do anything by himself, but he still does, and that's what really makes the story shine. So if I had to give a ranking, don't make me rank it against Unlimited Blade Works. It feels like definitely those two are at the very top, the top of the top, with the two stories against each other. I'd probably I want to give an edge to one of them, but I just can't. None in good faith give like an edge point to either of them. because I'll be biased in either one of them. I am biased because I love Illya, I love Ren. So I can't just say like, oh, this one wins, because then it's just, I'm only choosing it because I love them so much. So it's just awful. I can't actually just go outside of my own emotional attachments to the characters to actually give this thing a rating against Unlimited Blade Works. Against the Fate route, I think it's much better. I like the complicated plots, how much Shiro loves Sakura, how much he loves everyone around him, and how much he's willing to sacrifice for those people that he loves. Especially even like saving Illya and stuff. Like that whole scenes with going through the forest and all that, just flawless. Loved it. And I think that's probably gonna be where I'm gonna wrap it up. There's not too much more I think I can really go over. I talk about the battle between ideology with Kirei and Shiro, how they're very similar. And I do like that. I like how it shows that contradiction between the two of them and how similar they are. As much as Shiro wants to deny it, he has to at least come to terms that, yeah, he and Kirei are very similar. Angra Mainyu as well and Shiro are similar because two things were forced upon them, whether they wanted to or not. And he has to fulfill his mission and goal, even though he doesn't want to. Demi is in a very similar boat, that he was forced to, through that disaster, and forced to be in the Grail War, no matter what. And I thought that even if Angra Mainyu had gone out, Shiro had to have killed him, because he would just take control of Sakura, and he destroyed Sakura a lot and caused her a lot of pain, so he needed to be destroyed for her to be healthy and safe. But I think that's about it. If anyone has any questions, if they want a clarification on anything, I'll be happy to answer it down below. Or go ahead and follow the Discord link down below as well. I will answer any questions about the story. I'm just drawing a blank because it's just so complete. I've said a lot of things I've wanted to say. It's because it's like the cherry on top. It's just, I can't say enough good things about it. It's just so well done, and just flawless. But again, if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them down below. Favorite parts, what you want me to clarify on, who you want me to touch on, because I'll gladly talk about anyone. Come on now. I love this story a lot. And if I may have seemed off on anything, no, I can assure you, I can say enough good things about literally any scene in this story, and how much that the characters just felt so alive, so real, and so complex, that none of them were just left behind and abandoned. Like a lot of other stories. A lot of stories where they'll talk about their main heroine and then just throw her away and not really talk about her anymore. Like, it was very good that they kept Saber around rather than just tossing her in the trash and saying, yeah, whatever, she's just around there. Same with Rin, same with Sakura. That all of them still have their place in the story, even when they're not the focus. And I think that's just a highlight of just how well written the story is, how well written the characters are, and no matter where they are in the story, that they still are just great and well done, as long as they're not dead. Favorite moment would be in this route. The bad end with Shiro becoming Kiritsugu. I really loved that. That was probably one of my top favorite moments of the story. With his just steel determination of becoming what he wanted to. I thought that was just flawlessly executed. The tone is very heavy, very dark. Illya being depressed at seeing Shiro become his father. She doesn't like that, obviously. And it just gives me shivers sometimes just thinking about it. It just chills down the spine. Favorite moment in the entire story? That's hard. There's so many different good moments. Like the final battles and all of them are just easy to say. That's why I try to avoid final battles, because it's kind of cheating to say like, oh, this final battle was really my favorite. I'd still probably say Shiro versus Archer is still my favorite moment in all of the story. I could have just gone through like 8 hours of that still. Berserker versus Shiro was good too. I did like that. Him deciding to protect Illya and everything. That was really well done too. I'd say one of those two. One of those two was probably my favorite. Oh, Illya singing. Another favorite moment. That was sweet and cute and adorable and just fucking cute. Anyways, I've been talking for like 40 minutes now. But like I said, if there's any questions down below, any characters I might have missed or kind of glossed over without really going more in depth, let me know. Yell at me for a while, and I'll answer to the best of my abilities. I probably could have talked about Sakura for a bit more, but the problem is we just don't get enough of her. I would have loved her to actually have a bigger, more prominent role before she became a shadow, because we just get those evil, dark emotions that you can't really determine whether they are truly hers or just an amplification of what she truly feels. And I would have loved to actually have more of her in a normal setting rather than, or possibly as just a master in general, rather than just evil. I would have loved to have just more of those woven in the stories without having to choose to spend some more slice of lifetime with her. I would have rather than forced me to talk with her more than just have it just in options. Because the other two routes did it, this route should have done the exact same thing. And it just felt like Shiro was kind of running away from her. And you know, since he kind of was, because he was trying to avoid the decisions he had to make in the future and how he would have had to possibly stop protecting Sakura. So in a way, it kind of makes sense that he wouldn't talk to her and kind of avoid her, because it is putting off that decision. And he did put off that decision of what to do and what he had to do for a very, very long time, which is understandable. So at the same time, so it's understandable she doesn't have as much of a problem at time, but I just wanted more. I may not like Sakura, but I want her to have more time so I can like her more. But I would say her route did wonders for her, and I like her a lot more than I did going into this route. I will say that. Favorite characters, I'll give it the top 5 real quick. I said I'm going to wrap this up. I ended up not wrapping it up. I'm terrible. So I'd say top 5 characters. Let's go Ren number 1, obviously. And then probably Shiro. I liked him. I really liked his character. I like his growth pattern. I like his dedication to his causes, no matter what they are. His sheer willpower to get everything done is just really admirable and really well done. And going from the first chapter, you wouldn't think he's that kind of guy that would just stop at nothing to get his goals. But he definitely is. Going through the last 2 of these routes puts him in a whole nother level of just amazing main characters. Amazing. Number 3, I'd probably say Illya. I'd probably go Illya number 3. I love her character and how caring she is, and even during some of the more depressing times, that she's always there just to be, you know, just a warm, reassuring light, that when someone's down, she's always there to help with decisions, help with different ideas, and she's just always there to be protecting Shiro. And even though she acts the little sister and being the older sister at the same time, it's just so well done when she sacrifices herself. 4, I'd say Saber when she's not in the Fate route. I don't like the romantic side of Saber. I like the sheer bond of just between her as a servant, her as a friend, and loyal than a love interest. I like her more in Unlimited Blade Works in the very beginning of Heaven's Feel. Also the end, because she still was very saddened and didn't clearly want to do what she was doing. So I like Saber a lot in those 2 routes. I didn't like her as much as in Fate, which is why she's kind of lower at number 4 rather than at number 2 or number 3. So I thought that was just her loyalty to Shiro, her ideas as a king. Well done, very well done. Her dying and well, I shouldn't say sacrificing, but her headstrongness getting her killed in Heaven's Feel, or I should say corrupted in Heaven's Feel, is just heartbreaking. It was so depressing. I felt so bad when she got captured. I just felt, I wouldn't say I wanted to say what I felt like what Shiro felt, but god damn it, if I didn't feel like I wanted to just crawl in a ball and cry, I'd be lying if I didn't say that. It was so depressing. Number 5, probably Kirei. I'd probably say Kirei's number 5. You told me that at the beginning of Unlimited Blade Works he'd be 5th. That'd be crazy. God, yeah, I'll put him over Archer and Lancer. Archer and Lancer will be 6 together. But I love Kirei being this broken, demented person, but still being driven entirely by his goals and doing nothing to not achieve it. Going all in on all of his goals to get it done. Then no matter how broken, even though he's missing his heart, essentially he's going to get his wish accomplished. It's so perfect. It's just such a great encapsulation of his character and how he doesn't stop at anything. I love that. I love it. Least favorite character? I shouldn't be. Followed by Zoken. Both of them are just at the fucking bottom of the barrel. But I will say, he served his character well. I hate him as a person. I like his character. He's well written. I still hate him as a piece of shit person. Same with Zoken. Piece of shit person. I like his character though. His character's good. Very well written. And serves the point of why he's there perfectly, without flaw. Doesn't mean I like him though. And that's the one thing I always want to clarify. When I say I hate someone, it doesn't mean I hate their character. It means I hate their personality. It doesn't mean I hate their character. I like their character. I just hate their personality. Like when I say I don't like Sakura, it's not that I hate her character. I just hate her personality in a sense. I don't like the overly sweet girl type thing. I just personally don't like it. Her character though, very complex and very well written in the fact that her traumas have shaped her to put on that kind of front of being a really submissive and caring person, even though she doesn't actually feel that way probably at all for anyone. That she's just been broken down to having to be like that to avoid being in pain. Perfectly written. And a lot deeper than I would have anticipated going into it. She really got a lot of depth added to her, even though she wasn't on the screen for a lot of time. Someone's probably done the math of like how much screen time she gets. I just feel like for Heroine, she got a lot less than the other two, and I would have liked to see her have more. If this thing was a little bit longer, with her more prominent in there in the very beginning, I think it would have been enough to edge out Unlimited Blade Works. But without it, they're just gonna sit at a tie for me personally. But I've been rambling enough now. I said I was gonna cut it off like 10 minutes ago or something, but now I'm gonna cut it off. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below in the comments down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of this in the future, because I will be doing Fate Hollow, Ataraxia or whatever. Ataraxia. I'm not gonna pronounce it well. I can't pronounce shit. I'll do that in the future, probably a few months from now. And anything else? The Discord link down below. I will always be open to more Fate discussions, Fate memes, and arguments of whose thighs are better, Riders or Rens, any day of the week. If you want, down below, I'll probably leave a friend code to Fate Grand Order. I've gotten into that. I shouldn't have gotten into it. It's painful and I want to die. But it's fun. If you join the Discord, you get to see how salty I get and how I absolutely rage at everything in life. In NA, obviously. I speak English. I want to read English. So I'll leave a friend code down below. Make sure to add me if you want to. I have 30 spots open, so first come, first serve. And that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day. Thank you so much for being a part of my journey through Fate Stay Night, and I can't wait till when I start Fate Hollow. And I will do Fate Hollow before I do Fate Zero. I'll do Fate Zero later, after Fate Hollow, because I still want to know what I want to do with it. I think with Fate Zero, what I'll plan on doing is more of a review style rather than reaction. I personally am not a fan of reactions in general, because it's kind of just someone staring at a screen for 30 minutes. Oh, oh, wow, That's all reactions summed up in about 30 seconds. I don't like the method most people do it in, so I won't do it that way. I will just give an analysis on probably each episode, a before and after thoughts on each episode, and do it that way if I aim to do it in the future, which I probably will do it in the future. So expect that later at some point after Fate Hollow, maybe during it, not sure. I just personally don't like anime reactions, especially when it's like, God, even like fucking music reactions. I'm just gonna get into it, right? Like, it's just so. I'm gonna get in trouble with people who enjoy them. You can enjoy them personally. I personally don't. I just think it's kind of lazy, and there's not a lot of effort in most of them when they do it, because if you look at the time, most of them end up being 24 minutes if they would show the whole episode. Or 26 minutes. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff you're adding to the episode, buddy. But that's just my opinion. Don't hate me too much. That's my personal taste on that. But I'd expect more of a review style per episode, or just the entire thing, depending on how in-depth it gets. It's Fate, so it'll probably be in-depth extremely, so it'll be every episode. But Fate Hollow comes first. I want to get the sequel because I want more of these characters. I want to see them better. And I hope to God they don't suffer and die a lot. I don't want more bad endings. Though if it's more Tiger Dojos, I'm more than happy to get them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.